To QI, the 640-pound gorilla of panel shows. Joining me in the quite interesting enclosure in the zoo tonight are a magnificent silverback, Bill Bailey, a majestic alpha male, Sean Locke, an exotic bird of paradise, Sandy Toksvig, and a faithful old curly-haired retriever, Alan Davies. But for tonight, only an extra treat, all the way from America. It's Mr. John Hodgman! Now, each of their buzzers is more beastly than the next. Bill goes. Sean goes. Sandy goes. Alan goes. And because he doesn't actually have a built-in mushroomoid, John goes. Excellent. Now, tonight we are on the hunt for G animals. Any animals that start with a G are fair game. Well, use is a goose. Sandy Toksvig.
Is it toilet paper? No, seriously.
Sandy, that is bizarre. Why did you say that?
Well, because I once read this book by Rabelais, I think it's called Gargantua, and he recommended that the best thing for toilet paper was a live goose. And I have yet to check into a five-star hotel without a sense of disappointment.
I have the quotation from Rabelais' Gargantua. I'll give you it in full, because it's pretty extraordinary. I have, answered Gargantua, by a long and curious experience, found out a means to wipe my bum. The most lordly, the most excellent, and the most convenient that was ever seen. I wiped my tail with a hen, with a cock, with a pullet, with a calfskin, with a hare, with a pigeon, with a cormorant, with an attorney's bag, with a Montero, whatever that is, with a
inside of his toilet, a whole load.
With a falconer's lure.
And that's why he was thrown out of the pet shop. You're barred. Get out! Oh, there's another one, come on. Told you before.
But to conclude, I say and maintain that of all the torche cool, arse wisps, bum fodders, tail napkins, bunghole cleansers, and white breeches, there is none in the world comparable to the neck of a goose that is well downed, if you hold her head betwixt your legs. And believe me therein upon mine honour, for you will thereby feel in your knockhole a most wonderful pleasure.
Yes.
Both in regard of the softness of the said down,
yes,
and of the temperate heat of the goose, which is easily communicated to the bum gut and the rest of the inwards, insofar as to come even to the regions of the heart and brains.
Why do we need swear words when you've got knockhole?
Yeah.
Can I say one thing?
Yep.
Is it alive?
I fear it probably is.
Yes, I believe that adds a frisson to it.
It has to be alive, doesn't it?
Yeah.
When he said
then
it
you
was
can
warm.
turn it and laugh in its face. Ah! Yeah. We are the master race. Imagine now, because there's Charmin, there's double-layered toilet paper now, isn't there?
There is.
The Americans would probably use 2 geese's necks, wouldn't they? To get that extra softness.
People have been saying for years, why are geese so angry? What's wrong with geese? Why are they so furious?
No, we know.
If there were one animal that I was never going to put anywhere near my bum, it would be a goose.
There's so many other choices of animals you don't want near your
Scorpion.
knockhole.
No, that can be fun.
Get the scorpion to do it.
Yeah.
And he can get all those tricky little nibble bits.
Scorpions.
He's got the claws, hasn't he?
Not absorbent enough. It's not absorbent enough.
What about hedgehog? Is that absorbent?
Oh!
the bits and it's absorbed.
Yes. It's
You could get the bits from the top half and then whip it round and get the soft bit.
Brilliant. You may be onto something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds absurd, but we have just heard that a man did wipe his ass with a goose.
Yeah. So I think you're right. One to wipe, one to polish.
Yeah.
Perfect. There are other things geese can do.
Goose fat.
What you can
Use
Goose fat? What do you use goose fat for?
and,
Frying potatoes.
Weapons.
Frying potatoes. Absolutely. The best
Yes.
roast potatoes possible are...
It's the best fat, isn't it?
do with
Because
It is.
Fat.
it burns at a higher temperature.
Exactly.
So that you can roast things more adequately.
But there's another use for goose fat that used to be common. David
Covering-
Williams, if I was to
covering
say.
yourself.
Oh, for the
in
swimming.
it.
Oh, for the
They're swimming the channel, yes. They don't anymore because when they rescue people, they slip out of their grasp. Let's go...
Watchdogs. Aren't they good watchdogs?
Ah, yes. They say they're great watchdogs, as you rightly say. Yeah.
Better than a dog, apparently.
Yes. Anything else?
A guide goose for the blind.
A seeing eye goose. Yeah. In the world of weaponry, they were very popular for...
Their aim, they've got brilliant aim.
Steady hands.
Who made a famous appearance at Nottingham Goose Fair, according to myth and
Michael
legend.
Jackson.
Puff Daddy.
Robin. It's like herding cats, isn't it?
I once opened the Goose Fair.
Good
It is-
girl
yes,
said...
Robin Hood.
Robin
It
Hood,
was Mr.
thank
Hood.
you. Your
That's
teacher's
okay.
favourite.
And he was a goose.
No, but what was Robin Hood famous for?
Killing geese.
In case.
Do that lovely mime again.
Stretching
Yeah,
a
and
goose.
where would a goose come
This
and
is
use...
wiping his bum with a goose.
Yeah,
Feathers on the arrows.
the fletching, exactly. The feathers, the fletching. Oh. Goose feathers for arrows, so that's a good one.
Why have they got orange feet?
Because that's why they eat oranges. It's like flamingos with prawns.
It's
Geese eat oranges.
air safety.
Yeah.
Air
But
safety.
cherries
Air
are
safety,
Air safety.
yeah.
So they can wave each other in.
Yeah, that's it. What about gooseberries? Why are they called gooseberries?
That was the mood the guy who named them was in that day.
Right, he was
Is
So I call them gooseberries.
Yeah.
Is it?
It could have been raspberries or strawberries, but
That would have been taken.
yeah, they were taken.
Is it before the storks took over the whole baby delivery thing?
Ah, now, why the gooseberry bush?
I don't know. I started and
hard?
I had no idea where I was going.
Well, 19th century slang, gooseberry bush, meant
Was it a girl's front
Pudenda.
area?
Certainly
Yes,
sounds
I
like
think
it.
so. I
a
was
girl's
thinking,
bush was known as the gooseberry bush. Therefore, babies came out of the gooseberry bush, basically, because they do.
Right.
Is this
Round and round.
pre-Brazilian times?
It surely was. Now
It's more of a landing strip
Yeah.
now for the geese.
Oh dear.
I made myself feel unwell.
So that's good. Yeah, no, apparently, gooseberry just tastes very good with goose. It was often served as a condiment. There's the bar-headed goose.
All right.
They can fly unbelievable distances.
Up to 10 miles.
They
They can fly backwards.
thousands of miles they fly.
With
They
their
can-
eyes tightly shut.
They have a technique for increasing their range by 70%.
What is it?
Landing on a boat.
That's what I'm asking you. Landing on a what?
On a boat.
No, it's not. Imagining that even before man had any method of technological transport.
Gliding on hot air.
Grabbing onto other...
Lying.
boats.
As used to lie about where they'd been.
Oh,
They're miles over there. They just fly over the mountain, just wait there.
No, when you see geese in the air, there's a shape, isn't there? What is
So
it?
they
V,
fly in a
the
V
V, the
formation.
V,
yeah.
It reduces wind shear.
Oh,
the
extra
following,
points to our
geese.
popular American visitor. Exactly right. Yes, it's the vortices. It calms the air, and all the ones behind them. There's less to fight
But do they
against.
take turns?
I think they do.
Because the front goose has got to take a lot of...
Yeah. Oh,
no
well,
one's-
it's gotta be the
yeah,
worst.
He's
I
got no
was-
one protecting him.
yeah.
Exactly.
Or she.
Or she, exactly. It could be a gander or a goose.
Well, what's good for the other is one.
It's
all equal.
Yeah, I believe you're right.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's, yeah.
How do you suppose they take those photographs? Do you think it's the sort of passing parachutist that goes, oh, there's a bit of luck, there's some geese going?
That's right. These are very
Goose
fun.
going up. He's got his phone out.
Yeah.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Oh, sorry. Did I mention chimney
No.
sweeps?
Oh yeah,
No.
they fly up and push.
Exactly. So they're used as chimney sweeps. How?
Well, actually, no, don't you drop them from the top? Isn't that what you do?
Yeah.
They do chickens for that as well.
Yeah. And as they flap their
As they
wings.
flap down, they clear the chimney.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And badgers as well.
Horses they use for that?
Cleans the whistle.
No, they don't use horses.
It's a squeeze, but they get them down there.
But the uses of gooses, or the ease of geese, range from...
Is the next question the habits of rabbits?
I wish that it were.
How far can you shove a dove?
Hats of cats. That's my offer.
Anyway, the uses of gooses range from burglar alarms to chimney sweeps, not to mention making excellent roast potatoes, as John pointed out. Which brings us to giraffes.
Ah.
Now, tell me why giraffes have such short necks.
Short necks. They've got long necks.
As my old uncle used to say, the other man's arse is always cleaner,
this.
because I used to dream...
Look at him, look where he's going, look where he's going. Look at that,
Oh, dear. He's going
He's
down.
going in again, he's going in again. Get off his knock hole.
I like the other giraffes are going, what are you looking at?
He's going on, you're supposed to use a goose for that.
They're on lookout. There's no one looking. Go for it, Gary, go for it.
You know they've got a really, really, really long tongue, the giraffes. They really have. It's about 2 feet long.
A giraffe's tongue is long enough to clean out their own ears. Did you know that? And that is why you never see them in Boots buying cotton buds. That is
I wonder what the reason
That's not where a giraffe's ears are.
No, he's just...
It's on another giraffe's bottom.
It's an anagram. Ears is an anagram.
Yeah. Thank you.
So, as we watch the loop of shame, perhaps you could favour me with an answer as to why they have such short necks.
Are you telling me that long thing leading up to their head is not their neck?
No, that's their neck.
The thing about that clip is the fact that there must be something a lot weirder going on that they're looking at. There's probably like a wildebeest just pleasuring himself on a rock. And there, people going, he's licking that one's arse. Never mind about that. We can see it's disgusting.
Just out of shot, there's a big branch of Dixons, and they're all just looking in the windows. At themselves on a script.
Yes.
I hear there's a problem with the tail. Maybe I should fix it just here.
I once knew a couple who got stuck in their car in Kenya. They imported their Mini into Kenya, and they were driving along, and they stopped to look at some animals, and a giraffe fancied the look of this Mini, and he tried to mount it from behind. This is true. He tried to mount it from behind. Yes, and he got stuck over the... And they couldn't open the doors. I don't know how they got out. I think he had finished his
Did they have
pleasure.
a rear wiper? That might have
That might
helped.
have...
Might have brought things to a conclusion.
Oh, that's doing it. Oh, yeah, I like that.
And is that what they put on the insurance claim?
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah.
Now, when I say they have short necks, why would I say they have short necks?
Because
you're wrong.
Annoying. I don't know.
It's in relation to their legs, their necks are short. In order to drink water, most animals, like deer, they don't have to splay out in that very vulnerable and unbalanced and quite tricky position just in order to have a sip of water. But if their necks were longer, they would just dip down and drink the water. Instead, because their legs are so long, is the point.
I have had a stance like that myself in the odd public house, I have to say. It's familiar.
That when you spilt your pint on
Yeah,
the
and
floor.
I'm not wasting that.
So, it's important for it to have long legs. Why is it important for it to have long legs? Well, that might bring us to the next question. Why do giraffes have such long necks?
I presume so they can eat things
Yeah,
in
the
the
tops
trees?
of trees. and things.
So that they can see?
Oh. To eat treetops.
Is that not true then, Stephen?
Well, actually, they don't eat from the tops of trees. They bend their necks to eat. But the giraffologist community is rather split along two lines. The real reason, many, many people believe, is, see if you can guess, so many things
Seeing a long distance, seeing
that appears
seeing
to
over
be,
things.
that is very useful to see each other, to see
Who's on the
everything.
top deck of the bus.
Yeah, they're in large groups. People used to think they were solitary. But they realise they're in groups, but the groups are just simply very spread out because they can see each other. But a lot of animals have things and objects, and the most noticeable thing about them is there for what reason? Why does a rhino have a horn? Why does a deer have antlers?
So people will put them in zoos.
Which is all they want in their
If
life.
they didn't have long necks, people wouldn't go and see them, would they?
Do they fight with their
They
necks?
fight.
They fight. Oh.
They fight other males.
What? Oh, ow!
That's what they do. And it's unbelievable. They can kill each other with
That's
their one
horrid.
swipe of their neck. Isn't that a shock?
Come on!
Vicious.
Yeah. They're such graceful, gentle animals, you think. And then look at that.
It's quite a stupid sport, though, really.
Do you think earlier on he was licking his...
They went from goosing to necking.
They haven't got the fundamental ducking principle. That's really what they've...
Well, you
Just
see,
be
Just duck.
pleasant.
Duck now. Duck.
This is like
that.
This is like that footage they have on ITV of town centres on a Friday night, isn't it? People fighting at bus stops.
Don't you want that in the Olympics? Don't you think they should clear horse guards and have this kind of fighting? I think it'd be marvellous.
It would be good,
yeah,
wouldn't it?
much better, much more interesting. They are incredible. I mean, can you imagine being a baby giraffe and you're just on your way out? You think, oh, hello, that's a long way down. That must
6 foot.
6 foot. They what?
Well,
they
6 foot. They're born the size of 6 foot, and they're dropped head first out of their mother's passage.
That would affect you for life, I would have thought.
That's why their necks are so long, to stop the fall.
Maybe you've got it finally once and for
They
all.
plant those horns into the ground and then they stand on their heads until they can walk.
Wait a minute.
Evolution is amazing.
It is, isn't it? So there you are. They're these beautiful animals, and they are graceful and sweet and long eyelashed and sexy and rather desirable in many ways. But they use their necks, it seems, as weapons
job you're
of
tall.
war, isn't it? Yes.
Yes, and giants use them in the latrines.
What do giraffes eat? What is their main staple? Or
Children.
Staple, in fact. Not children.
Leaves, plants.
Yes, particular
foliage.
plant.
It's not treetops.
No.
Acacia.
Acacia, exactly.
yeah.
Acacia, which is a thorny plant, which has developed a rather brilliant strategy for trying to put the giraffes off from eating it. It gives out a very bitter taste, but more impressively, it warns its neighbours when giraffes are coming.
What? By going, psst, giraffe.
Yeah, basically, yeah, it sends out chemical signals.
Yeah.
And that provokes the bitter.
Then what do? Run away?
Sadly, that's one thing they can't do.
There's a giraffe coming. Brilliant. Thanks.
So
Now I'll be all fearful.
I'm just telling you.
yeah, it's a wind-borne warning burst is the name of this particular
Favourite
routine.
little burst.
A warning burst. Have you ever done a wind-borne warning? Oh, never
yeah.
mind. But enough with giraffes, I feel. What's the commonest cause of death amongst mountain... Wow!
Brian Blessed.
Very good. It's not...
When you put that beard on, that noise turns into word.
It's a fabulous
It's a translator.
Mountain goats. What is the
Is
most
it-
common?
Falling off.
Is it snowboarding accidents?
Almost is.
Well, just I would think with those horns, you'd have a devil's own job getting a helmet on.
Is it assassination?
Yeah.
Not.
A lot of them are assassinations.
Yeah.
You said it.
Falling off.
Falling off
Accidents.
mountains.
Accidents.
Would you believe it? They fall off mountains. No, not clumsy. They're unbelievably nimble and secure and sure-footed. But
They show off.
no, it's worse than that. What is
They
it?
get coffee drinkers.
3 to 4 times every hour they.
They flip over like those toys that you wind up.
They try and fly.
They use their horns to
Scratch their asses.
Thing. Fighting.
Fighting.
They fight.
Fighting.
They flip them over.
There they are. Look,
Look at that.
and that's what.
They knock
Nobody
each other
goes.
off the mount.
They knock each other off each other's perches. There you are. Now, if you can tell me what's quite interesting about the American mountain goat, 2 things are quite interesting about the American mountain goat. It's
Well, of
found in
course,
the-
I'm an expert in it.
naturally, because you're American, or
Yes,
you're.
it's found in America,
It's found in America.
largely around the mountains,
Indeed, the Cascades and the
and
Rockies.
it never falls off. because they're glued to the top.
Would you recognise an American mountain goat? What's its colour?
Surely
Red, white, and blue.
Take two of those away and you've got it. It's
Blue.
It's like being on National
White.
Geographic.
It's white.
It's the purest white.
It's the purest.
It's the purest white of any of these things. It's the only pure white ruminant, in fact. But,
I was wondering.
yeah, it's not a goat.
Oh, heavens.
Who put them up there?
Yeah, I'm not sure that's an example of them. That isn't-
Help! Hey, look! Help! It's the fastest growing tree in the world, and they all stand there, and it goes. Whoop.
Oh, dear.
They go, well, I think we've cleaned this tree off. Let's go, shall we? Very little left here.
I used to be a goat herdsman, so I could get them down for you if you want.
Wouldn't that just be a goat herd?
Sorry?
Wouldn't that just be a goat herd rather than a goat herdsman?
Yeah, sorry.
That's all right.
When I was a goat herdsman.
Hi, on a hill.
I was a goat herd manny thing.
Yeah.
I could have got them down for you, no problem.
Could you? What
I know the
technique
call.
what goat herding technique would you have used?
That's it. They just
Really?
That one moved.
Yeah. I swear.
Why do we say he's a bit of an old goat? Why do we say that? Are they randy?
I think they are quite randy goats.
I could sense after a few weeks they found me more and more attractive.
Do you know why?
Is it because they know we've got money?
Money and cars.
They're actually quite shallow.
I think they like
They
the
see the
fact
cars and the sexy clothes and the music and the gold.
They're like wags.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe
Why
I
is it
get balls
What
on.
it is our sweat under our arms. We have a sort of goaty smell, and female goats go mad for it. So if you wish to attract a female goat, a nanny, yep, that's it. Just waft a bit of your underarm at her.
Cheese.
Well, I used to be in the forest with 26 goats and I never got one approach.
Not a nibble. Nothing.
Now I feel quite hurt.
Yeah.
Because you're using the link.
Yeah.
They're very clever, the goats. About half of them could use a calculator.
In Kenya,
They weren't just like bashing around on it. You know, they knew what they were up to. They were doing sums.
there's a sort of male chastity belt, a little object that they put on called an allure, which they put on male goats to stop them from being able to mate. I think we have a picture. There you are. It's this kind of thing. So that they mate in the right season for the Kenyan farmers, and the kids are born at the right time.
He's not
So
looking too happy about it, is he?
No, well, would you if you had to exactly wear one of those?
Then it chafes.
I bet chafes something horrible. Yeah. I'm sorry to say that as recently as 2007, the Nepalese Airlines slaughtered 2 goats because there was a technical fault. And so they slaughtered the goats to a Hindu god in order to...
Were they in the pilot seats? They wouldn't get out. They should have got me there. I'd have gone...
I don't believe
had
that
to be
is
in
a
the Nepalese
goat.
Air Force.
That's not a goat call.
It's goat cool. It's not. That's right, it's not. See? Just how cool am I about it?
Oh,
Because I know it is.
What are you saying? Are you saying words?
Yeah. It's a call. It's a French. I was a goat herdsman in
Is it
France.
French?
It's a French goat
What does it
herdsman.
mean?
What is it saying?
Biquette is French for goat.
Baguette.
But you have to go... No, it's my
That's
voice.
why
I
they
lost my
goat
voice.
under your arm every morning.
Yeah. These are just the very well-bred goats.
He wants to put us in a sandwich. Stay away from me. This way.
I'd say it was the most stressful job I've ever had in my life.
Being a goat herd.
I mean, it would make a
especially-
futures dealer on the London Stock Exchange, seem laid back. You just 26 goats, and they just go wherever they... If you're useless at it, like I was, they go wherever they want.
That's because you were making that ridiculous sound. I should throw a rock at them or something they respect.
Did you... Were you really a goat herd?
I was, yeah.
How did you get the job? We clearly know nothing about them, shouting bread.
Well, it was during the 80s. Thatcher was in power. There wasn't a lot of work. I'd put goat herdsman on a job application form.
And laugh.
I was in France. I just got a job in France on a farm.
How long did you do it for?
About 3 months.
Were these goats for dairy goats, or were they for meat?
For cheese, yes.
Cheese, dairy goats.
You used to have to take them to different parts of the forest, and the farmer would say, find these leads, because it'll make the cheese taste
Right.
a particular
Cheese
way.
tastes great, yeah.
And I'd say, yeah, of course I will.
Here, eat this.
Basically, it was boursin, the whole.
Oh, du vin, du pain, du boursin. That used to be their advert.
Yeah.
Now, what did seagulls contribute to the war effort?
Seagulls.
Seagulls. You know, you give a television technician Photoshop.
Did they steal the food out of the hands of the enemy soldiers and they starved to
Is
death?
it like the parrots in the Eiffel Tower? They kept parrots in the Eiffel Tower in World War II to warn when aircraft were
Yes.
coming, and they'd go, "Oh, aircraft coming." It's true, they did.
Surely they'd say, des avions viennent.
Yes, obviously. I was translating for the benefit of the
fair
audience, but
No, it's not quite that. Again, we have to be in the right war.
Which war?
which war are we
The
in?
First World War we need.
Some sort of
14
message
to 18.
service?
No, there was a new threat that had never been seen in warfare before.
Aeroplanes.
That was one in another medium.
Submarines.
Submarines, yes. And
What
the
is a
British.
seagull with a submarine?
Well, let's try and put it all together, shall we? Now, one of the problems with the submarine is you can't see it. There was no sonar, of course, in the First World War. So how do you know where they are?
When they surface.
Well, if they surface, you can see them. But before they surface, another thing that a submarine does is pop up a periscope. So if you could train a seagull to flock towards periscopes by putting food all over the periscopes on your own submarine, so that whenever it saw a periscope, it was associated with food and flocked to it, then whenever there was a submarine with its periscope up, the seagulls would flock towards it, and you'd be on your ship, and you go, there must be a submarine over there because the seagulls are...
Did they train every seagull in the world to do this? Or did
This
they
is the
keep
problem.
flocks
It
of
didn't
seagulls, so to
work.
speak, on ships?
Surely the flaw in the plan is putting food all over your own periscope so you can't see where you're going.
Well, you only do that in the training area.
Oh, I see. Sorry.
I see.
But they thought, while we're there, they thought, let's get it, not just train it to recognise the enemy's periscope, but to poo all over it so that it will blank out the lens.
This is a terrible plan.
It
It'll
is
never
bad.
work.
It is a bad
Sounds
plan.
like for the Black Adam. That'll do it. That'll work.
It was a grand plan. Did not work, I'm afraid. But partly because the gulls couldn't distinguish between
idiots.
Stupid creatures.
Well, they couldn't distinguish between enemy submarines and home submarines. But more importantly, when I said seagull, I was making an ornithological mistake.
Albatross.
No, they're not seagulls. They're just
Terns?
Gulls.
They're just gulls.
Gulls.
They're not seabirds, gulls. They're land birds. They don't go far out to sea at all. They live on the edge of the land, admittedly, in cliffs and things, but they, you know...
Do they have
they're not
webbed
like-
feet?
So they don't go that far out.
So if you're looking for a submarine,
Is this upsetting your worldview?
if you're looking for a submarine
Seagulls.
if you're looking for a submarine in the middle of the Atlantic, the bird's going to say, "I'm not going that far."
Yes,
I'm not. Yeah.
basically, that's the problem. It just doesn't go that far out.
When the weather's bad on the coast, they all come into London. That's how you know the weather's bad on the coast and not to go to the seaside.
Yes,
That's the only thing I know about gulls.
that's true. Why did gulls suddenly appear in 1956? Why did their population
Hungarian
explode? No.
Suez crisis.
No. Something happened in
Price
1956
of
that
fish.
caused gulls to absolutely wow.
Go nuts.
Ferries.
Oh, they...
Trains.
People put food all over their periscopes.
No, there was a disastrous event that took place here in London.
Smog.
Smog.
Pea soup.
Smog. It was the worst smog ever. I mean, so bad, literally thousands and thousands of people died. And this caused an act of parliament called
Clean
Air
the Clean Air Act of 1956, which made it illegal, amongst other things, to burn rubbish. So what could you do with rubbish?
Just
Leave
leave it
it
out
for the birds to
birds.
eat.
Landfills. As you know, landfills attract gulls like nothing else. And this is why the gull population absolutely exploded in Britain, because of the Clean Air Act. It's a strange thought, isn't
They
it?
eat old rubbish.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was
Absolutely
once
wrong.
carrying a pizza in a pub by the seaside, a whole pizza out to a table, and the gull came and took the whole thing. I was lucky not to be taken as well. They're big. They're quite big, aren't
They are
they?
big animals.
Did you come to the table with just a tiny little shred of pizza?
Just thumb-shaped.
Who are you supposed to... Sandy,
There's a gull flying around like this.
Right, so yes, during the First World War, seagulls were trained to search out German submarines and then crap on their periscopes. Pretty clear message. But what is this camel behind me trying to tell you here? What's going on?
Oh, dear.
It's a very disgusted audience, though. They don't like what they see.
I think you say Jeremy Carl's on in a minute.
Do you know, what are we looking at there?
I presume it's a tongue, is it? But is it a sausage?
It's not his tongue, amazingly.
Is it his stomach?
It's his palate. He can blow part of his soft palate out. It's called the palatinus diverticulus. It's known as a gullet, and it's used as, again, we've been discussing, it's used in mating. It's used to attract females.
Oh, you really sexy beast, you.
Yeah, it's a heck of a thought, isn't it?
Not working for me.
It appears to be sticking out its tongue. The camels with the most testosterone have the biggest gullet.
That's what they tell you.
Yeah.
It's like that nonsense about bald men being full of testosterone,
Yeah,
isn't it?
I know, bless. But, no, the size of... What? Way.
Phil's not insulted because he doesn't know. Phil doesn't know he's bald. I don't know. What do you mean, He's convinced he's got a big, thick, luscious head of hair.
Well, down my back there is.
I've got that.
Anyway, they do that. They blow out their gullet and they make a bloop, bloop, bloop noise, apparently.
Yeah, blub, 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 blub.
That's the best they've come up with after all these years.
Yeah. In Saudi Arabia and other countries, they often cut the gullet out. Why would they do that? Do you know why?
To stop it, they cut it out.
It's so they
stop
breathe
it
better for
breathing.
camel racing.
Oh, camel.
Yeah. Actually, in Saudi Arabia, they import camels from...
Kent.
Yeah.
You set them up so well, Stephen. It's very kind
from
of you.
Kent. No, not from Kent.
From Hertfordshire.
Not... Let's disabuse ourselves. Australia is the right answer, yes. Thank you. But why would they import them? What do they need them for?
They're very good at cricket, the
Yeah.
Australian one.
The Australian camels are actually much fitter than the
Oh, look, we like
Saudi.
sports.
Yeah.
It's a big outdoors.
No, they don't use them to race, they don't use them for transport, they use the camels they import for...
Food?
Food for meat, camel
They
meat.
eat
yes.
them. They
eat
tell them they're going to have a lovely
Yeah.
glide to camel race. You'll love it over there, mate. Away you go. Good luck. Give us a call when you've won your first race.
They also import from Australia, the Saudi Arabians, something else, not
Barman.
camels.
That'd be stupid, isn't it? Barman in Saudi Arabia.
Sand.
Sand?
Sand.
Really?
Yeah, sand.
They love irony, don't they?
Yes.
They always see the other side of a joke.
It's because the sand in Saudi Arabia is the wrong kind of sand for
Golf.
Throw it in people's eyes.
building. Yes, male camels impress the ladies by blowing a balloon called a gullet out of their mouth. Speaking of blowing bubbles, why don't goldfish swim into the side of their bowls?
Well, that's stupid, isn't it?
Because they're not stupid. Let me just say, they don't use their eyes to know it's glass, so what do they use to know that there's something there?
Something to do with the pressure of the
Sense.
water or
The pressure of the water is the right answer. Absolutely. They have little pressure sensors, which are similar to the ones we use for our ears. And they activate little gelatinous caps that in themselves activate hairs that tell them, in the same way that our cocktail fluid activates hairs that tells us there's pressure in our ears.
Goldfish don't have hairs. You don't see goldfish with different styles.
emo fit.
Tiny hairs inside.
I love what you've done with your goldfish.
Well, it seems they do. Sharks have the same thing. They have neuromasts as well. They're called the ampoules of Lorenzini. And they detect not pressure, but...
Fear.
Yeah.
Well, no, oddly enough, electricity. Because a lot of fish give off electricity as a sort of weapon. And
So they know when you've left the light on.
Yeah.
He's really beautiful, isn't he? Look at him.
He's a biggie. He's a biggie.
That's a nurse. Is that a nurse?
Is that a nurse?
Well, I was referring to the
Obviously.
brand of
Hospital were you
shark.
born in?
Suddenly had an image of you in a home.
Oh, Lordy bless. Anyway, fish don't use their eyes to navigate. They use a system of pressure detectors along the sides of their body.
Gosh.
How did the gerbils let us down in the War on Terror?
They're notoriously insubordinate. It's true. They can't take orders.
They're
Can't take
mouthy.
orders.
They talk back all the time.
They're fickle.
Ironically, they're easily terrified. which made the worst possible candidate to wage a war on terror. First sign of terror, the accident.
Well, it's odd.
The hat falls off there.
Let me say,
You just need to do that, don't you? Yeah. Shit themselves.
they are well acquainted with terror, put it that way.
But they don't live very long, so by the time you train them for something, presumably they drop dead.
That wasn't the reason they were a failure or that they didn't work out. It's that they can smell terror. And how would you be able to smell terror? What are they
Pheromones.
smelling? Not exactly pheromones, but hormones.
I'm sticking with pheromones.
Yeah.
What is the plan? You'd have a booth at the airport. And
Yes.
No!
Say it again.
You'd have a booth at the airport. People
Yes.
would walk through and the
Not
gentleman
only a
would go...
booth, but a fan behind the people so that the air is blown towards the gerbil in a cage. And if they got adrenaline, which is...
You see, now when you talk about the mad seagull idea from
Yeah.
the First World War, you think, oh, a bit balmy in those days when they didn't have technology and sonar. Now we're all computed up to the eyeballs. A
These
big
are-
fan blowing your whiff towards a gerbil. What's the gerbil going to do? He's one.
These are...
Gerbil's little sign.
Of course you'd have adrenaline going if they make you go in a cage and there's a great big wheel and you're made to go round. There's a gerbil you look at you.
Oh, the gerbil looking at you. Terrified!
They don't see the gerbil. The passengers don't see the gerbil.
Two-way mirror.
But yeah, it doesn't... the gerbil just needs the air.
A little mirror with the gerbil.
Anyway, the gerbil is trained to press a button when it smells the adrenaline. Yeah,
Nonchalantly, I hope.
nonchalantly, exactly. What else can you tell me about gerbils to cheer us up?
The most popular gerbil is the Mongolian.
Yes, it's the right answer. That's the gerbil, the one we use as a pet. And it's small. And what other advantages does it have as a pet?
It doesn't live very long.
No.
That's a strange kind of advantage.
No, your kids say, I want a pet. You say, I'll get a gerbil. It won't last very long.
You'll learn about life and
Yeah,
death.
it'll be marvellous.
Yes, but also because they're desert animals, their poo is dry and non-smelly. So unlike mice and rats and things, they don't have pooey, because you know how bad mice.
You can freeze them and then hit them over a wall with a cricket bat.
Can do that. You wish you had a
There is
pipe,
That's
though.
why he was banned from the pet.
Dreadful man.
Yeah, it's another potential Olympic sport, I think.
Exactly.
Paul! And so the light fades and our guests head bravely for the waterhole in the full knowledge that any moment they're likely to be dragged underwater and devoured by the savage Gila monster of general ignorance. So fingers on buzzers. Why are there no insects in the sea? Yes, Bill.
Because it's too far.
Yes, that's right.
Because it's too far.
It's too far.
It's simply too far.
Because
Far out.
water makes them explode.
But there are insects
I
in
haven't got one
rivers.
for that.
The salt water, is it?
It's not the salt water because there are salt water spiders. Plenty of those. Plenty of sea spiders.
Current's too strong.
Spiders
their
aren't
own
insects. Spiders are not insects. Ha ha ha!
Exactly. I'm
that's
saying
okay.
there aren't any insects, but there are spiders.
Have they got
The spiders ain't there.
No, it seems to be because there are no trees and there are no flowering plants. You know, nothing that they've evolved to deal with exists in the sea. Whereas spiders could live in the sea because they just hunt and they can...
It's a shame, isn't it, really?
It is.
Yeah.
There you go. Now, who stopped flying the Jolly Roger in 2003? There's the Jolly Roger, yes, the skull and crossbones, yes.
Where the Queen.
The Queen. Not the Queen, no. Yeah. Clarkson. Not Clarkson.
Is it the British Navy?
The British Navy, one particular division of the British Navy, one particular part.
Oh, when they had a
Pirates.
plague or something.
The submariners.
Oh.
Submariners, right up until 2003, flew the Jolly Roger, the skull and crossbones, when they came back from successful missions. The submarines were regarded as dishonourable and indeed piratical, unworthy of us. They were cheating. And Admiral Sir Arthur Wilson in 1901 found few opponents when he characterised them as underhand, unfair and damned un-English.
They're going to submarine.
Yeah, submarines. But opinion shifted, obviously, by the war, 1914 war, and...
Un-English, what are you on
and so they deliberately flew piratical flags because they were sort of proud of the fact that they were piratical.
It was their roguish
So why
nature.
why did they stop then?
No, they stopped for reasons apparently, well, sort of not exactly political correctness, but, you know, is it making fun and vainglorious? Is it glorying in war? Which we're not allowed to do, obviously. For good reason. War is nasty and hell and so on, but it seems a bit
I think it was
niminy-piminy,
because
doesn't it?
all the seagull guano showed up on the black cloth.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe it was that. They just couldn't keep them clean. And the other reason being, I suppose, they wanted to keep the intelligence gathering and special forces element of submarinering was rather compromised by them flying a flag around all the time. It became very secret. Who goose-stepped their way across Europe in the 1940s? Yay.
Was it a goose?
No. Sorry.
Worth a try.
It was.
Yes.
Who goose-stepped their way across Europe in the 1940s?
Well, I mean,
Well,
Dutch.
you know,
What's the name?
him.
We're reluctant to say
You know,
What? What are you reluctant to say, Alan?
any reference to
Hitler.
Oh, Hitler. No. The Nazis didn't goose-step in the 1940s.
The Russians.
The Russians is the right answer. But why?
Because they had incredibly stiff starch.
No, but why was the Nazis wrong? Why was the Nazis the wrong answer? Surely they did goose-step.
Because they didn't do the goose step.
They did do the goose-step, but not in the 1940s. They stopped it in the 1930s. They only goose-stepped in their early years, in the Nuremberg rallies and so forth.
New Year's
Fall out of
resolution.
fashion.
It fell out of fashion and no new recruits were asked to do it. They called it the Stechschrift. The Stechschrift.
very high impact.
That is a...
Doesn't
Yeah,
look
it's a
good.
That's
terrible
actually
way to
Chinese or Korean, I think, is
That's
it?
Korean, yeah.
North Koreans there.
Yes.
And that's the point. It's very, very hard to do, and it shows just how butch and clever and disciplined you are.
you have to have
But no.
tremendously flexible hamstrings to do that, I think.
You all
do.
have to be the same height as well, don't you?
Yes.
You do have to
and
be...
Korean,
yeah.
apparently.
Well, Korean or Russian or Chinese or Cuban or Vietnamese or Chilean or Iranian. There you are. So, the Nazis dropped the goose-step in 1940. The only people goose-stepping in Europe for the rest of the war were the Soviets. So I know all you care about now are the scores, and I have them in front of me, and my word, they are fascinating, fascinating to behold. In equal last place on -7, Sean and Bill. Thank you. In third place on -4, it's Alan Davis. How respectable is that? In second place with -3, it's Sandy Toksvig.
Oh, my God.
Which means that our glorious winner is John Hodgman. Bravo. Well, that's it from Sandy, John, Sean, Bill, Alan and me. I leave you with a simple truth gleaned from the blogosphere. Friendship is like wetting your pants. Everyone can see it, but only you can feel its warmth. Thank you and good night.
Christmas is almost here, folks, and to make sure it's a very Merry Christmas, we have new to Dave QIXL on Christmas Day night from 9. Next, though, stand-up comedy. Lee Mack live is exactly as it sounds, except it's not live, as he's done the performance already.